I've been doing for the past 5 years. Yes.
So, how successful would you say this particular campaign has been? It's been running for, you said this is the fifth year now,
Yes.
so definitely there must have been some sort of research that has gone into what has come out of it. So, how successful would you say it is?
Yes, the feedback that we have gotten is that things are changing. They are changing because for the first time, some people that we are meeting, they are letting us know that they don't even know that some libraries existed. That library even existed. Some people don't even know that we have libraries all over the place, and their facilities are free. You pay next to nothing to use the facility. Some of them, the feedback that we are getting is that nobody believes that anything can come free in Nigeria. So so this sensitization has really opened the eyes of people that you can't approach any library, get there, even if it's newspapers, the dailies, go there, read free of charge. Nobody is charging any fee from you. So this campaign has really opened the eyes of some of our people to one of the gains of that intervention then was that the road transport workers, they were eager to some of them were eager. They were asking us questions. Where can they register for this adult education classes? Where can they? Yeah, so that one has putting us under pressure again for us to now, refer them to adult literacy programs. So because they now saw what they missed in their youthful age, which they wanted to rectify. So we now refer them, we now serve as a referrer to them again, that you can go to social place. There are evening classes, there are adult education places that you can go, education can be gotten at any age, that you can improve yourself at any age. It's only the person that is dead that cannot learn. So while you are still alive, you are learnable. So we let them know that, and they were so impressed, and they were eager to look for an adult education class.
This campaign, you said, is a nationwide campaign. So going to the correctional centers to donate books, is that also something that's happening across the country, or that is what the Ogun State chapter have decided to do this year?
Is nationwide.
So what was the spur to donate books to correctional centers?
We discovered that the correctional centers, what the activities there now has really take a new dimension. We now have people in the correctional centers, inmates there, that have gotten there with next to nothing qualification, that have gotten their GCO level. They have got there. Some of them have their NCE right there. Some of them have enrolled at National Open University for their degree programs. In fact, in one of the correctional centers here, we are told that there is a candidate there who is running a master degree program in National Open University. So they have an established library. You can't believe it. They have a library that is furnished inside the place. They have good environment for study. So the Open University have a center there. Precisely at Ibarra Correctional Center. Degree program. Those that are writing their O levels are there. So donating books there is to reinforce what the management of the Nigeria correctional centers are doing for the for the inmates, and they so much appreciate it.
Some would say that libraries are going, some would say that libraries are going out of date, that now that there's technology, you have ebooks of all kinds and in all formats. As one who, belongs to the National Library, would you agree with that, with those who say that reading or even accessing books has gone beyond physical libraries and physical libraries are now obsolete?
Yes and no. For us in this climb, physical libraries are still very, very relevant, because the technology that drives e-libraries,
Right.
the technology that drives e-libraries, cannot yet go round the nation, because there are things that must be in place. The number one thing is power, electricity, which we cannot guarantee. So that is why the library in its traditional form, which is the physical, is still relevant in our society today. And even for the technology-driven library, which is the e-library, it's clear that even in the developed countries, they still have the physical library as a backup,
Right.
to the technologically driven libraries.
To complement it.
Yes. So for us as a nation, with the level of our development, physical libraries are still relevant.
Okay. Well, you started out by saying that research and studies have shown that, the level of reading, people's interest and enthusiasm with reading has declined.
Yes.
Is this perhaps one of the challenges you face in your reading or readership campaign? I mean, their literacy levels are more, there's accessibility to books. You can get books at the tip of your fingers without necessarily leaving the comfort of your home, and yet you see that people's interest in reading is waning. Mm-hmm. Are these some of the challenges that you faced in your readership campaign, and what are some of the other challenges that you faced in this campaign?
We discovered that even those people that read, even the people that read, the readers, the little percentage of readers that we have in our society, we read for a purpose. Exams.
The Cramla pass.
After exams, we discovered that even for those of us that have been seeing the four wall of our institutions before, you see that after the exams, some of the students, the notebook that they use for a particular course, there and then inside that hall,
right,
you throw it there. You just leave it there, because they believe that they are no longer coming back to that course again. Whereas that notebook that you thought that is not going to be useful for you, in years to come, you may need to. I remember one of my lecturers told us that some of us, we don't know that to write a textbook is very simple, very easy. That we can use our past notes to develop a textbook. That was when some of us, our eyes were open, and by that time, we couldn't find those notebooks again. Some of them gave them to Mama Oniguguru, Mama Elepa, and that was all. And there are treasures in those books. So for the few percentage of our people that read, we read for a purpose. We don't read for knowledge, to develop ourselves. We just read, we read for a particular purpose. After that purpose is met, we drop reading. Even leisure reading. That was why we even took it to the motor park, that even when you are in the vehicle, traveling, you can, instead of chita, there's much noise around us. noise all over the place. And we have seen in the developed world that even with the technology that they have there, people in the buses, people in the train, even inside the aircraft, you see them reading. They read. The volume of their own newspapers there abroad, the volume of their newspapers there, we don't have, our newspapers there are few pages. You know, very bulky daily newspaper. They read it from back to back because they have developed their culture, the habit of reading. So, like I said, what we discovered was that even the few among us that read, will read for a purpose.
They do not read for the right reasons.
They don't read for the right reasons.
All right. A quick reminder that you can check us out on Facebook. We are streaming live at the moment, and part of this first segment of Panorama today is sponsored by the National Library of Nigeria, and we have Mr. Ayola Ajayi, the head Ogun State branch here, and we also have Abayam Babalola, who is also here with us as a partner to the National Library, not in the
analyst
capacity now, but he's here as a partner to the National Library. Good morning to you, Abayam Babalola. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Nigerians. Boyega, good morning. Lola, good morning.
Good morning.
It's nice being here.
In another capacity.
It's nice being here.
So let me ask you, how important really is reading to national development? A lot has been said. Leaders are readers in developing as an individual in school and all of that. But let's extract how important is reading to national development.
You see, like what Mr. Akinola said, let me start from saying that Mr. Ajayi, that a lot of us read for a particular purpose. We just want to pass exams. But we can go beyond that. I came to realize that reading has some things to do with the development of the brain as well. Apart from you reading because you want to pass exams, it has been proven that when you are reading, some system in your body gets connected. And in the process of this connection, you start to reason beyond what you are used to. Take for instance, when I was younger, we were reading this particular series, Pace Setter, for pleasure. But after reading each edition, by the time you go out, things will happen, and you begin to feel that what you have read is being played out real time. When you read, your brain, apart from when you are reading for exam purpose, your brain gets to another level. Of course, you relax when you read, especially when you are not reading for exam. And even when you are reading for exam, if you do not wait for last minute rush that we are used to, if you read as at the time you are supposed to read, you read when your brain needs to relax, not because you want to get something out of it. Like he was saying that if you are in transit, you can pick up a book, pick up a newspaper and start reading. When I was younger, my dad used to tell me that the newspaper he has read for weeks, he will pile them up and tell me to start reading. After a week or so, he will come back and ask me questions about it. And from there, I developed this habit of reading anything in fact, if I go out to, he was saying that we give our books to Mamelepa and the likes. If I get anyone from people selling roasted plantain, after eating that roasted plantain, I'll read what is in that paper. it goes beyond that. I just want to read for exam. You need to know what is happening around you. You need to know what other people are going through or the way they reason. When you are reading, do you know that you can travel out of this country because you are reading? Not in the physical realm. You read what is happening in Afghanistan. These days we are talking about Afghanistan. A lot of us have never been there. But it is from what you read. It goes beyond what you see on screens. It goes beyond what you hear on radios and television. It goes beyond what you hear from people. When you read, you'll be able to authenticate probably the things you have heard or the things you feel could be happening. But like the saying that if you want to keep something from an African, you put it in a book and for years he will not discover. Things are changing though.
But let me ask you this. Lola did mention it the other time in a conversation with Mr. Ajayi, but I would like to ask, technology is moving. We're getting to the digital space where there are audiobooks, even the holy books, the Quran, the Bible, there are now audio versions where you could just play and just listen as against the reading, which might, of course, maybe the same effect because you're also digesting as you are listening to whoever is reading over the phone. We also have all sorts of digital libraries across the place. This digitalization of the space, do you think that the fact that we have not taken advantage of it a lot is why we have a lot of young people who seem to not read a lot anymore? A lot of young people, when they pick up books, some people use books as sleeping drugs, But do you think that is why a lot of young people are not interested in reading? Do you feel that if the process is more digitized such that they can access these materials that are in hard copy, do you think there could be a difference?
You see, it's like applying a solution to a problem that, like putting a round peg to occupy a square hole. Yes, e-books, e-libraries are getting to become the in thing now. But the fact is this, these young people we are talking about, there are lots of distractions they come across when they claim to be reading online. There are so many distractions. Before you can conveniently say that a young guy will read online and you will be satisfied, you must have laid a foundation for that person. And the foundation will not start from the phone. The foundation will not start from online. The foundation will not start from these digitalized arrangements we are talking about. Let that person have the foundation of reading the hard copies. Then we'll take it a notch, have provision for the hard copies. Because they know that it's not everybody that will go that route. So we here in Nigeria and in Africa generally, we just have to still lay that foundation for ourselves. Even for adults. When you are reading on your phone, for instance, calls can come in, some other messages can come in, which will get you distracted. If you are reading, you pick up a hard copy of a particular book and you are reading. If there is a call, you might not even attend to your phone. You might put the phone in silence. You might even switch off the phone. Because at that point in time, you are busy with that hard copy. But if you say it has to be this digitalized, even in churches and in mosques, despite the fact that we have the holy books on our phones these days, there are some churches that will tell you that they frown at you using your phones for these things because of these distractions we are talking about. A lot of times when you are reading on your phone, you need to have your data on. And once you have your data on, calls can come in, other messages can come in. These distractions are there. I'm not saying digitalized world is not good, but we are not ripe enough for it. Our young generation that we are talking about now, we have not created that foundation for them to really love reading. If you are engrossed in reading and you really love reading, all these distractions we are talking about might not move you. But then, is the foundation strong enough to say that when these distractions come, you won't be distracted?
Now, Mr. Ayola, let's come back to you now.
Okay.
How long this campaign, it's annually, but as it has begun now, how long do you intend for it to run? You mentioned that there was a reading aloud thing you planned for the evening, as well as, donating books to the correctional facility. So how long is this going to run? And then what are the things you mentioned will run later on?
Yes. After now, like I said earlier, we'll be having the Read Aloud program at our branch office.
Where is that?
At Aki.
Is it open to the public?
No, it's closed.
Oh, okay.
It was selected because of the time we are in now for
The pandemic.
The pandemic. We have selected because like we want to catch them young. We'll be hosting some selected children from selected schools here in Abeokuta. They are within the range of children in basic 4 and 5, and some of their teachers.
Okay.
So then later on, then we'll go to the correctional center for the book donation.
All to date?
No, that one is another date.
Okay.
Yes.
And when will the campaign end?
It will end when we go to the correctional center. Yes.
So what's the role of the community in this particular campaign? You have talked about the teachers and the students, the schools. So what other stakeholders are on board to help further this campaign?
Yes, thank you very much for that question. In the year 2019, we extended this campaign to a particular community at Odeda. The community is under Odeda local government. We went there. We in partnership with the CDA there, we took the campaign there. We brought in community residents. They identify a particular school because they don't have. Our intention was that each community, and that is what we are advocating, that community library should be developed within, so that this restfulness that is pervading our society today, maybe that one will bring it down. So the community we visited at Odeda, because they don't have anywhere that they can call a library, so they just identify a primary school in that community, because our intention is we told them we are donating books, bookshelves, bookshelves and books that we intend to that they should use in their community library. But when the community said they don't have, and they don't want the opportunity to go away like that, so they now gave us a particular primary school. At least one of your presenters spoke to them in the language you can understand that day, sometimes in 2019. So that is as far as we have gone. So there are other communities since then that when they heard what we did there, they've been calling us to come. There's a community at Ijebu Mushin. They want us to come. But for now, what we have on ground is what we are doing now. Yes.
All right, we have been speaking with Mr. Ayola Ajayi, who is the head of the Ogun State branch of National Library, Nigeria. and we've been talking on reading culture. We also have with us Mr. Abayomi Babalola, who is a partner to the National Library of Nigeria. Abayomi, from what both you and Mr. Ajayi have said, it sounds as though you think that reading should be a lifestyle and not something that one does optionally. But, there are many who I've heard some people say that, reading is just not for them, that they just can't seem to find the interest. They can't seem to either find the interest or maybe even when they pick up a book, sustain the interest long enough to finish it. So what would you say to someone like that who just says they're just not interested? They know the benefits, they're aware of the benefits, they know readers are leaders and all of that, and it's developmental, but they just can't seem to find the interest. How would you say they combat this lack of interest in reading?
First, one of the reasons why we are talking about this now is we want to catch them young. The younger generation whose brain can still easily adapt to this way of life we are talking about. You read even in some instances you go to hospitals where pregnant women will be asked to start reading, so that there's this belief that you are reading for your unborn child.
Right.
Is listening, and probably he or she, when he is eventually ready, can pick up that habit. Like I said, if we do not have the required foundation, by the time you get to a stage, reading will be something that you won't easily cope with. That is why so many people are complaining. But then you can still find a way around it. Start from materials that you feel you like.
Right.
Probably if you pick up a daily newspaper, you can start from sports. If you are a sports enthusiast, you can start from reading sports. By the time you flip through 2-3 pages, you see some headlines that you feel, oh, let me just go through this particular one. And before you know it, you might even finish the whole pages on that newspaper. Then you pick up novels, you pick up other books. For adults, you can go for the digitalized ones, of course. But then for children, I would still recommend that foundation has to be built and make sure it's solid enough before you tell them to move on. But for adults who feel that they can't go back to reading now, you have to start from your areas of interest. You pick interest. Some will say they are interested in fashion and lifestyle. Mm-hmm. There are magazines that are peculiar, that are peculiarly for that. Some will say sports, some will say politics. You whichever area you feel you are interested in, start from there, and then you build the interest. You start from there, and then you move over to other areas of interest. And another thing is this era of we are talking about fake news here and there. You can exercise a restraint when you see a news item or you hear something, and you feel that, okay, before I can share this or before I can form an opinion on this, let me do further research on it. That further research means you are reading. You go to other sites or you pick up materials and read. Then you'll be able to authenticate whatsoever you want to share or you want to form an opinion on. If you do not read and you wait for what people are saying, of course you find yourself where you might not like it. So it's very important for every one of us. Like I said, start from areas of interest of yours where you feel you are comfortable, your comfort zone. Start reading from there, and then you build it.
Mr. Ajayi, what is the downside, or what are some of the downsides? We have talked about the advantages. Maybe if people hear what the disadvantages are too, maybe it will also spur some people to cultivate a proper reading habit. So what are some of the downsides? First, to individuals, and also to the society, the nation at large.
This downside of not inculcating reading habit. The downside is what we are witnessing in our society today, all over, from north to south, from east to west. Unrest, restiveness. There is the issue of fake news. When people don't read, anyone can just come and instigate them. Something has happened, or I read it somewhere. So without clarifying, without having a second opinion, people will just. So that is the disadvantage of not having an enlightened society, because some people they believe they are educated, but they are not really enlightened. They are not really, because you need to go to where it's all over the place, where vendors display their newspaper vendors display their trade. Go to where you see crowd of people there. What they do there is they listen to opinion of people. It's not that they will pick the newspaper to read. It is the opinion that somebody who have read or somebody who has not even read anything. It is the opinion that the person dropped there that they will take home. That they believe that that's the gospel truth of what is happening. So the downside is that we have bunch of enlightened populace, even though some people will believe that they are educated, but they are not informed, because one can be educated and may not be well informed. So that is one of the downside of not reading, and that is why we have been coming every year. That's why we have been advocating every year that we should go back to the basic. We should go back to who we are before. We were not like this before. Mr. Babola was talking about pace setters books in those days. I remember those books. So somebody will say that even the cost of books they are expensive. Books are expensive, which is true, because everything has skyrocketed. But what of coming to the library, even if you don't have the money to buy? But some people will tell us that those books in the libraries are obsolete. They are not up to date. They are not this, they are not that. But even the ones that are there, have you read them? Have you read them? The answer is no. And there is no book, particularly when you are talking of humanities, fiction, and all those things. There is no book that is obsolete. You can be talking of the sciences, because research are dynamic. But when it call to history, civilization of people and all those things, fictions, humanities, social sciences, those materials are time tested, which they never go obsolete. They never go obsolete. So if you say the cost of books are beyond your reach, there are places you can read for free. That is our advocacy. Come to the library. Come and use it. All over Nigeria. It's absolute. We pay nothing. We open from morning, we put 9 a.m. to 6 every day.
Can people borrow books, or they have to read them?
Yes, they cannot borrow, because it's purely, it's basically a research library. But it's because the way our society has been structured. In other climes, you can go to the library and borrow books. They can follow you up to your home. The streets are well laid out. the addresses are word laid out. Why we cannot, we don't have that luxury is that our streets here have no names. So people are even, their homes have no number. So how do you locate anyone who comes to borrow your books? So for that reason and others, our materials cannot be borrowed.
All right, we're going to open phone lines as well as read your comments. Keep sending them in. We've got a slew of comments on Facebook. Our Facebook handle is Splash FM 106.7. If you're considering dropping us a message there, we're also live streaming, so you can watch everything and get the audio-visual experience. On WhatsApp, we are 0817-555-1067. I also see a number of comments from people on the reading culture. Now, before we open phone lines quickly, I'd like us to look at the link between critical thinking and, national development. Critical thinking that is born from reading. It's been said that, we do not have critical thinkers, that many Nigerians, particularly the electorate, the voting population, do not critically interrogate government policies or even the leaders or the people campaigning for office. And many do not critically interrogate policies or the leaders, and so we end up with, the kind of people that we end up regretting. How can, is there a way that reading can help combat this? And then I also want you to also quickly answer if the schools have not in a way contributed to the death of the reading culture. Mr. Jai mentioned at the beginning how many read to pass. But that's the way school system is structured, Sometimes your lecturers or teachers want you to answer the questions verbatim without, employing your own initiative. So is there a way that schools have contributed to it? And then how can they solve it? Mr. Jai.
Yes, schools are not helping matters because we discovered that even in most of our schools, they don't have libraries. I mean, primary, secondary, they have libraries. The authorities that supervises or these schools, one of the libraries are one of the criteria that they put in place that for them to be given approval. But what we discover is that these things are not really there. So it's as bad as that. And even in those schools that even have, some schools that even have, these children, these pupils, these students, there is no, because when they come to our library for library visit, we ask them questions. Do you have library period? At our own time, in secondary school, we have library period. We have library period in the timetable. It's on the timetable. We ask them now. They don't have library period on the timetable. From morning, we have break from break to this, to this, to this, to this. So, like you said, the schools are not helping matters. Why is it that there is no library period on the timetable? So that to inculcate this habit into these children, they don't have a library period.
Right. Okay. Abayomi, how about you answer the first part of my question about critical thinking and...
Before then, let me quickly add to what Mr. Ajayi said, that schools are not helping. Not only schools, even parents and the society. When a child leaves school by 2 p.m. or 3 p.m., he or she resumes in the extramural class again.
Right.
And when do you expect this child to pick the book on his or her own and start reading? The time is not there.
They are loaded with a lot of homework.
Even during holidays, that they are supposed to have some leisure for themselves.
Right.
We load them with going to lessons, going to this, going to that. Apart from that, there was like 4 years ago, I was running a program with some schools in Ogun State here, and at a point we offered to buy some books for a particular school that they will stock their library, and they said no, they don't want any books, that we should give them money, they want some other things, they don't, just forget about buying books. We can't grow like that. Now, the critical thinking of a thing, linking is to what we have on ground now. You see, even those that come up with fake news,
Right.
do you know that they read? They do critical thinking. That is why they've been able to bring together this fake news. They must have done some research. But those of us that are consuming that news don't even bother to read. Really make the kind of development we have in mind. Every one of us should be ready to read. And unfortunately, many people that are reading, that are actually reading, they are not interested in politics. They will tell you that they have better things to do with their time. And that better things to them is reading, which is good for them and good for us. Okay. But then we do not have enough of them as part of our policy making bodies. We need people like that. So many of our political office holders will just come and bamboozle us with so many things. Ask some of them to analyze what they have said. Okay, you want to provide this. How are you going to do that?
Right.
Tell us the history behind this thing. A lot of them do not read. They do not know. And it's affecting every one of us today.
All right. Abayomi, let's see if we can squeeze in a few calls.
Okay, let's see. 0704 400 1067 0817 444 1067 0817 555 1067. That's also the WhatsApp portal. I'll start quickly with Facebook before we wrap up this first segment. I believe this is Reverend Zachariah Olubaya Tanimbola. I said, good morning, Splash FM Abeokuta. I give you kudos for the job well done. Thank you. May the living Lord promote this radio station in a supernatural way in Jesus' name. Thank you very much, Reverend. And he said, we as a nation need to redeem our reading culture. Our analysts got it right. Internet access is distracting our youth. Social media has replaced reading, both hard copies and soft copy books. Fatumbi Taiwo Luashon Esther said, good morning. Don't forget that e-reading in Nigeria also gets your battery flattened. He said, anytime my friend sees me reading, they always ask, do you have promotion exam or you want to write jam? This tells me reading culture is fading.
Well, e-reading doesn't flatten your battery as much as using social media apps, from what I know.
Akredi Camille Adebayo said, I'm not wrong to say that in the time past, reading inclination had reflected so much on the quality of leadership and civil discipline that brought pride to Nigerians anywhere in the world. But now the daily struggle for economic survival provides little or no time for people to cultivate a good reading habit. I recognize and praise the effort of the people in the studio to revive the reading culture in the state. I want to quickly remind them that apart from economic survival, high cost of books, particularly imported ones, has contributed to low readership promotion in the country. Any plan to bring down the cost? Thank you. Ademola Oladoshu said, reading makes a man, a sound analytical mind. The book is a treasure island. Bring back the reading corner and bookshelves at schools and homes. Well, I've been to his office before, and I know that he has a corner where he has a bookshelf. Mr. Ademola Oladoshu who sent in that message. Lamidi Taufiki Abe said, good morning. Can we have the Yoruba version of this program? Or is it for the academic, elite, and semi-literate? Let's consider the grassroots members of the community where this social vice emanating could benefit and minimize the wickedness this social unrest is causing. That's from Lamidi Taufik. Well, we'll take that under advisement. Maybe Mr. Yolaja will be back for us to, maybe Abayomi too, for us to talk about reading culture also in Yoruba language. This is what we take seriously as well.
When we come back, we've got to go on a commercial break. When we come back, we'll read your comments on WhatsApp. If you've not dropped them, there's still time yet for you to do that. But thank you to our guests this morning.
Mr. Yolaja,
thank you very much for having me.
Branch, National Library of Nigeria, Abayomi Babalola, thank you as well. For everyone calling, we see your calls, but we are sorry. We got engrossed in the conversation because it's quite an important one. But please drop your comments on WhatsApp. We'll take them. We'll see you after this break.
Don't dare touch that dial. It's Splash, your integrity station.
Iléeṣẹ́ IAS ń bẹ̀rẹ̀ gẹ̀jígẹ̀ níbi kátàlẹ̀ lọ́nà tó ṣàrà ọ̀tọ̀. gbọ́ wá ti máa gbọ́. lọ́wọ́ yìí béèyàn bá fẹ́ ralẹ̀ àràbà ní bàbá. iléeṣẹ́ IAS dúró digbí. ìwọ náà má jẹ́ kí àǹfààní aláìlẹ́gbẹ́ yìí kọjá rẹ o. ìlàjì owó ra odidi púlọ̀tì kan. bí ó bá sì wá jẹ́ ìlàjì lágbára rẹ kálásìkò yìí. ìlàjì owó ìlàjì ni wàá fi ra ìlàjì. àgàgà Treasure Garden máa wò kọ́. táwọn ènìyàn ń bá iṣẹ́ ilé kíkọ́ wọn lọ ní pẹrẹu. tá a ti ń tà ní 200,000 naira tẹ́lẹ̀. lè máa rà lẹ́dínwó 100,000 naira péré. ẹ sì tún lè ra ìlàjì tá ń tà ní 100,000 naira tẹ́lẹ̀. ní 50,000 naira péré. àti Honey Drop Garden máa wò kọ́. Country Garden Ayétòrò road. gbogbo ẹ̀. sanwó ìlàjì. kó o gbódìdí púlọ̀tì kan ní o. ọjọ́ méje péré ló kù lónìí. àǹfààní yìí máa kásẹ̀ ńlẹ̀. pé 090-3377-3189 090-3377-3189.
Let's talk about sport.
Roma have risen from their ruins.
From the end-to-end stuff or sometimes ball-sparking and rigidity of a football game to the adrenaline-pumping and high-octane energy sport of Formula One.
Oh, and Gerrard slipped, and Denver Barr's in here. Barr punishes of all people Steven Gerrard. It's the worst possible scenario for Sebastian Vettel, who started on the second row and is now running right down at the bottom of the field.
How about the exchange of blows in boxing and mixed martial arts, two games of athletics, tennis,
From close range, forget about it.
golf, basketball, and more? Join the sports team for high-profile interviews, previews, and reviews on the Integrity Station, Splash 106.7 FM. For Sports Cafe every weekday by 11:30 a.m. and 6:30 p.m.
Are you ready for some football?
Sports Cafe, all things sports, lives here.
gbogbo ẹni tó fẹ́ mọ̀nà ìrọ̀rùn láti donílé ọ̀nà tó dájú kan rèé ẹ tẹ̀lé mi ká lọ sí The Way Homes and Properties. àwa kì í talẹ̀ onílẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ a kì í talẹ̀ ìjọba a ò tún ní wàhálà ọmọ onílẹ̀ rárá promo wa ń lọ lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ a ní The Way Homes máa wù kọ́ nítòsí Funab Satellite Campus 300,000 naira ní dípò 600,000 naira tí wọ́n ń talẹ̀ ńbẹ̀. The Way Royal Garden Ládẹ̀rín 800,000 naira dípò 1.2 million. The Way Suites onígangan 100,000 naira dípò 250,000 naira tá ń ta tẹ́lẹ̀. Palm Garden Alamala Barracks 600,000 naira dípò 800,000 tí wọ́n ń talẹ̀ ńbẹ̀. The Way Estate Kọ̀bàpẹ́ 200,000 naira. The Way City Alábàtà phase 1 100,000 phase 2 50,000 naira. àtúní ní Mọ̀kọ́lọ́kì Ayérọ̀sẹ̀ Ṣàgá Orílẹ̀ lówó tí ò gani lára. ààyè wà fún gbẹ́tán àbẹ́yìn fẹ́ san díẹ̀díẹ̀. a wà ní 24 Nawaridin Road ládojúkọ Nawaridin High School Ìṣàpọ̀ Abẹ́òkúta tàbí kẹ́pẹ́ 081-614-11190 tàbí 091-252-42235. ìparí oṣù kẹjọ ìlànfààní ìmọ̀. The Way Homes and Properties ẹni mọ̀nà ni ẹjọ́ fi yín mọ̀nà.
Adédìrúrà Àṣàbí ni orúkọ mi. Èmi ni
ìdílé wa igbí ni ọkàn mi balẹ̀ torí ohun gbogbo tí ìdílé mi fẹ́ fi ṣọdún bíi ìrẹsì màálù ògúnfe òróró tọ́kí àti bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ bí ọdún bá ti kù ọ̀sẹ̀ kan nílé iṣẹ́ ABL máa gbé gbogbo àwọn nǹkan tí mo fẹ́ fi ṣọdún yìí fún mi.
ọkọ tèmi nìkan ọ̀rẹ́ tòótọ́ kan ṣoṣo fún àwọn ọmọ wa àṣeyọrí wa yìí ṣeé ṣe nípa fífi 2,500 pamọ́ fún àwọn ọmọ wa èmi náà fi 5,000 naira pamọ́ nínú owó oṣù mi ọkọ mi náà fi 10,000 naira pamọ́ nínú èrè okòwò rẹ̀.
tó bá jẹ́ ti ìdílé Adélọ́rọ̀ pẹ̀lú ìrànlọ́wọ́ iléeṣẹ́ ABL.
ọdún kérésìmesì àti ọdún tuntun máa dùn yùngbàyùngbà lọ́dọ̀ tiwa.
iléeṣẹ́ ABL wà ní nọ́mbà 47 Purple House Ìtòkú Road Ìtàmọ́rì Junction Abẹ́òkúta Ògùn State ẹ pè 090-2657-7587.
Akọ́lé màrà lẹ̀. ọ̀pọ̀ ogun ni kì í tán bọ̀rọ̀bọ̀rọ̀ ilẹ̀ kì í kú kì í sá bẹ́ẹ̀ ni kì í díbàjẹ́ èyí nílé iṣẹ́ àgbájọ homes and property Nigeria limited ṣe ní àǹfààní mìíràn ilẹ̀ wọn tó wà ní randa 200,000 ní tẹ́lẹ̀ báyìí 100,000 lẹ́sàn ilẹ̀ wọn ò ṣẹlẹ̀ phase 4 200,000 wọn náà tẹ́lẹ̀ báyìí bẹ́ẹ̀ bá ti sọ 100,000 àǹfààní gbé tán ni ilẹ̀ Ṣódẹkẹ́ 500,000 tẹ́lẹ̀ lọ́rọ̀ báyìí 250,000 lẹ́sàn àgbájọwọ́ tip-top land phase 2 lẹ́gbẹ̀ẹ́ Alámọ̀lá Barrack ló wà 150,000 ní tẹ́lẹ̀ báyìí 75,000 lẹ́sàn lórí ìdajì owó tẹ́ ẹ bá san ni o ẹ láǹfààní láti gba ilẹ̀ yín lẹ́sẹ̀kẹsẹ̀ ilẹ̀ okun bẹ ní Òṣìẹ̀lẹ̀ àti Alábàtà tẹ́ ẹ bá ti ra plọ̀tì mẹ́ta ẹ ó gba ìdajì bó sì jẹ́ éèkà kan lẹ́ra odidi plọ̀tì lẹ́gbà sí lórí 40,000 naira per plot number 39 NTA Road Ọgbẹ̀ Abẹ́òkúta 070-4464-8338 070-4464-8338.
àǹfààní ìṣísílẹ̀ di ọgbọ̀njọ́ oṣù kẹjọ tí a wà yìí.
torí pé àràkún laṣọ gbági.
Splash FM 106.7. Panorama.
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 Panorama on Splash 106.7 FM.
Welcome back to the program. We still have the phone lines buzzing. I don't know, maybe we should entertain one or two. Okay, let's see. Before we get to the newspapers. Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning. My name is Tajidin from Magbon.
Tajidin, good morning. You have to keep it brief because we are still in time from the second segment.
I think the schools are also contributing to it. Then our parents are contributing to it as well. Because I would like, as I am today, if I want to sleep, the best thing really is just to take a book. Once I take a book, I want to start reading, I will sleep off. That is it. So I think it is from the background. We need to start working on our children right from the start. Thank you.
Thank you, Tajidin.
I hope you will work on your children because this is something we almost take seriously.
Absolutely. Really. All right, let me see how quickly we can get through the comments on WhatsApp. Olajuwel, as usual, has a comment here. He says, I want to agree with the saying that readers are leaders, but how has the Nigerian state been able to influence and encourage the Nigerian people to believe that readers are leaders? Well, to me, our government has corrupted the society by elevating extravagant life above the reading culture and life. This is evident in the facility put in place to encourage reading culture. Now, if I may ask, how many libraries are in Abeokuta? Let every community have a library and recreational center where people, especially our young ones, can gather, read, and dissipate their youthful energy on something productive rather than going about engaging in fraud and what have you. That's Olajuwel from Italshin. This one is from Comrade Gafar Fatoingbo from Ashiro, who says, good morning, Splash FM. We need not rule out the fact that the collapse of value system has dealt a huge blow on the culture of reading in our climate. How do you promote reading among our students when they could see assemblies of graduates roaming the streets in search of a job? Our students could see the treatment meted out to the so-called first-class graduates forced to take up a job of 20,000 naira per month and a thug who makes 250,000 naira as a transport union worker. The Nigerian youth is not encouraged to have intensive reading. We need to clarify our values. What do we stand for as a people? What is our reading philosophy? How has the National Library promoted scholarship and intellectualism among our students? It is unfortunate that those who want to catch young are busy with entertainment. The government is not interested in reading because they feel it is not crude oil. It doesn't bring in quick profit, and that is very shameful. Why can't the government begin to promote and popularize reading contests? The truth is, our youths have abandoned books for BB Ninja because that's what they see the society celebrating. We can see the sponsorship, the followership, and the encomium it's garnering. Let there be reading contests and let it be sponsored by business tycoons and organizations. Place an encouraging price tag on it and see the way it's going to be embraced by an average Nigerian youth. That was a rather lengthy one. The next one is from Boy. It says, a beautiful morning to you, Boyega, Lola, and Olani. It's Boyega, Olani. Boyega, Olani is one person. But thank you anyway. It shows that you follow us, a lot. It says, I'd so much appreciate the topic at hand as it remains very contemporary. Improving the reading culture in our society is really a great deal. Reading keeps the imagination so much active. That's from, I believe, Olakunle Belu. Benga says, good morning. Although this campaign is good, but the world is changing dynamically. This ebook already endorsed from creche to university level. Most of our parents already bought iPad and computers for their kids. Some are even using iPhones and Androids on behalf. If they want their kids familiar with several phone applications or software. Mr. Jaid, do you prefer writing letters to text messages? I will appreciate it if you can link me with websites where I can download all my past secondary textbooks. Well, Mr. Jai is no longer with us, but Benga, thank you for your contribution. This one is from Oluwaseun, who says, good morning, Splash FM. Thanks a lot for the subject discussed today. It is quite enlightening and explosive. May I ask, where is National Library located in Abeokuta and its environs?
I think it said, okay.
Secondly, what's the guest take about e-library considering the present modern age? He already gave his submission that, it's complementary, but in Nigeria, it cannot stand alone given to, infrastructural issues like electricity. But thank you, Oluwaseun, for your comment. This one is from Ademoye from Onikolobo, who says, with no doubt, digitized world, such as listening, watching has reduced our reading habits because many stories, epics, theories, dramas, and others have been transformed to listening and watching programs. Factors such as poverty, hardship, and others in this part of the world also affect our reading habit. Finally, from Kende Gabriel, there's a lot of factors contributing to low level of reading culture in this current generation. I'm also guilty of reading for a purpose. I think there should be more orientation and encouragement to bring up the zeal in people to cultivate reading culture. The current vibes in our society made it so difficult to believe readers are actually leaders, because looking at our political space, believing that is debatable. A lot of people have raised this point about, not seeing the benefits of reading. But anyway, this is a very long conversation. Maybe we may revisit it another time. But thank you, everyone, for your contribution.
Well, we have Santiran Akinolaron who has also dropped something on Facebook. He said, reading culture is a great one, and I love reading a lot. Good job, well done. Thank you very much. And he said, we also have a library at Kuto, Inward CBN. I know Abeokuta was mentioning Kuto, and then Mr. Ajayi said the National Library is in Ake. So
I should definitely check it out. It's been a while since I've actually been to a physical library.
It'll be interesting. All right, let's get to the second segment of the show very quickly. And we have Dr. Amos Kolawole join us for this particular segment. But first, let's run through the headlines. I have with me the Nigerian Tribune. Are you giving me the Tribune because I didn't have enough headline yesterday? Are you trying to shank me?
No. Then I think the Tribune's
but I have
front
headlines.
page is
I have
back to
headlines
normal
today,
now.
Yes. Yesterday they had a very big advertorial, and I had just 3 headlines to take.
Someone may bank. Well, I have the Punch newspaper here, and the big story is on Petroleum Industry Act loopholes. 36 states set up 6-member panel. Plan amendments. Committee members, Delta, Osun, Imo, Plateau, Borno, Jigawa Finance Commissioners. State governments to forward proposed amendments to PIA Implementation Committee. Also from the front page of the Punch, on COVID-19, oxygen usage now 400 cylinders daily, says Sanwo-Olu. Yet another reminder to take COVID seriously. You do not want to be at the mercy of hospitals on a possible oxygen shortage. Group blames federal government as Saudi Arabia recruits Nigerian doctors. Land grabbers, 5 killed, many injured in Lagos Ogun attacks. Cholera, Bauchi records highest cases. Disease kills 1,768 in FCT 23 states. Lagos artisan allegedly beat 7-year-old son to death over fish. That is tragic. PIA, Host Community Fund payment begins August 2022. Oil price jumps to $68 after days of losses. This goes back customers as blackout worsens on grid collapse. Strike continues. NARD insists as court orders suspension. Federal government ASU differ on delayed 30 billion naira revitalization fund. Secondus attacks Wike. Rivers court suspends PDP chair. And finally, anchor borrowers, CBN incurs 379 billion naira debt. Farmers battle insecurity. And there are pictures of a wife of one of the murdered Uber Bolt drivers and colleagues of the deceased during a candlelight procession demanding justice for drivers allegedly killed by their passengers in Abuja.
And about that, I think it suffices to say that we all should be careful, especially if you run a business that involves delivery and all that. I had a story recently in Lagos where someone was to deliver some items worth about 200,000 to some people. Took it there, and then it was hypnotized. All the goods taken from him. I'm not sure if they also took with somebody. Just make sure that you take precautions, because it is what it is. It is the society we live in now. There are a lot of elements who do not have the kind of mindset that you have. So it's important that you are careful while you try to make money or while you try to make ends meet. Let me run through the headlines on the Nigerian Tribune newspaper now. The big story here, and just like Lola said, you do not want to be at the mercy of an hospital where doctors are on strike. So, COVID-19 third wave, Lagos records 135 deaths. 13 die in Osun in 1 week. If there is any story that tells how important being safe or trying to be safe is, I guess this from Oshun is. And 2 riders, over 400 oxygen cylinders used daily. Sanwo-Olu says Edo makes vaccination compulsory. This has a twist to it, and we'll talk about it. This story and the riders on page 2 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. Again, a resident decides street in Enugu, Imo, Anambra, with the rider brace up against IPOB. IGP tells police Nigeria lacks record on actual petroleum products consumed daily. That's according to the PEF, as reps move to probe oil marketers smuggled petroleum products. EFCC arrests 37 suspected internet fraudsters in Ibadan. We talked about their modus operandi yesterday, and the report was even that after she put that online, they went back to her house to harass her again and pick her up.
Wow.
Sometimes.
I saw that they gave a response to it.
And then they went back, and I think even picked her up. Sometimes security agencies can
blowing
be
the whistle
high-handed. Well, more headlines. Just crisis. Ekiti, Enugu evacuates stranded students from Unijos. And there is a picture here of the students from Ekiti right in front of the government house in Abeokuta. Well, Daudi said yesterday that they are making findings about that of Ogun State. Maybe we'll see a picture like this very soon. But this is proof and hard evidence. OML 11, we won't allow Shell return to our land. Ogoni leaders tell MPDC why I told citizens to carry arms against bandits. Masari, Oshun APC crisis. Police arraign Aregbeshola's associates for assault. No going back on ban on open grazing. Akeredolu, court orders striking doctors to suspend strike. And a rider, we have got no such order. NRD react. 2023, Nigeria needs the tribalized, incorruptible leader. This talk about corruption again. That's according to Tambua. Court restrains Secondus from parading as PDP chairman on page 3. So let's get to details now. And I would like us to start with the COVID-19 third wave. Dr. Amos Kolawole joins us. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for having me.
So, first, I would like to ask why you think people are not taking this third wave seriously. I'm not even sure people took the second wave seriously, but we have the first wave, but we have a third wave that is deadlier now, and people still seem to be going about with reckless abandon. But more importantly, I saw this story this morning that Edo has made vaccination compulsory, and it's even gotten to a stage where the Edo state government is saying that to access banking halls, to access some certain places, you must, even churches, mosque, event centers, you must present your vaccination card. Nigeria does not even have enough. The first batch of vaccination, we barely scratched 1% of our population. So if we do not have enough vaccine to go around, how then is the government saying we're making it compulsory such that to access certain places, you have to present your vaccination certificate?
Not to mention, does that not trample on some fundamental right of the individual? I mean, even the developed countries are not making it mandatory. They're only saying they are withdrawing access to public facilities.
Well, my attitude to the way our government takes position on issues is that we are in a nation where we are not organized. We have leadership deficiency, and that is what is coming to play right now. Talking about the first wave, people took it serious. They felt it was something new, and everybody was apprehensive. So, for the second wave, the issue is, I think God has blessed us in this part of the world such that our immunity system is so strong that you hardly find somebody around you has actually contracted this thing. And that makes it very difficult for a lot of people to believe this thing exists. And that is the truth. Even amongst the so-called elite, the educated ones that I have interacted with, they'll tell you how many of your siblings have actually contracted it. How many members of your church have actually contracted it. And that becomes a problem because even when some of these people actually contracted. They don't say it out. And so a lot of people believe it's a way of making money. Governments sometimes come up with frivolous figures so that they could have their own share of the national cake. So that, in a way, has actually made people to be skeptical about the potency of this disease to cut across, in a way. Then this third wave, as the Delta variant, or what's it called, I think it's more deadly even than the second. And the issue is people still don't believe. A lot of our religious leaders are misleading us. And that is the truth. I've had pastors who said, forget about COVID. The power of God is here and can take care of any disease or any diseases. And so the church members who see their pastors as demigods are likely to believe. We've had pastors who are educated who say it's a plan by the developed nations from China and all the rest to enslave us in a way. Some say it's a mark of the beast, that when you get vaccinated, you're getting the mark of the beast. And so a lot of people are afraid of even going because their religious leaders have said, don't take it. So the bottom line is the government has a lot to do in this respect. The opinion leaders, the pastors, the imams, community leaders, to actually tell people that this thing exists. And if care is not taken, it is because people don't talk about it. Those who have contracted it should be coming out to say, yes, I had it. Thank God I've been healed, but I had it. A lot of people are not coming to say the truth. And that is why people still don't believe. On vaccination, making vaccination compulsory, I think it's like chasing shadows. Why is it like chasing shadows? Because the quantity of these vaccines that came into the country could barely serve 2% of the population. A lot of people wanted to have it, even at my place of work, couldn't. They got there and they said they brought it to Napoli. After a while, people got there and they said it was finished. So it didn't go around. And I'm sure the ones that are coming in would not even go around too.
Right.
So how do you now make it compulsory for people to show certificates of vaccination before accessing certain things? I think it's basically wrong.
As a matter of fact, Daoud told me that he received the first shot of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, which was the first batch that came in. However, it finished, and the new ones that have come in are Moderna and J&J. So he cannot get the second shot and has to wait until another batch of Oxford, AstraZeneca comes. And it's been over 2 months. Ideally, I think there's supposed to be a time frame between when you get the first
2 months time frame.
Second, and I don't know what happens if it exceeds that. So he's left now at the mercy of whatever country is willing to donate the Oxford AstraZeneca to Nigeria. Okay, one final question for me. Could this disbelief could the disbelief that the virus is not real have been exacerbated by what happened over the weekend with the president's son's wedding, where there was a disregard of the COVID guidelines, barely a mask inside, no social distancing enforced? Could it have been worsened? I mean, if the body language from the first family is that, hey, all is well and it's business as usual, could that contribute to those who do not believe that the virus is real?
Remember, I said it when I started that even our leaders are not serious about it. For the president of the whole nation having a wedding for his son, and you had all these people gathered, those who should be enforcing laws in Nigeria, they were gathered without observing COVID-19 safety protocols. What does that tell an average Nigerian? What it says is basically that it is non-existent. We're just trying to make money out of the whole thing. So if our leaders would not get it right, they're not giving good examples to the people that they govern. What that suggests is that they themselves don't even believe it exists. Otherwise, they would have taken safety precautions. So if they cannot take it and they didn't take it, so what do you expect the ordinary man on the street to do?
What do you make of the impasse between NARD and the federal government, particularly the Ministry of Labor, in light of the judgment recently by the National Industrial Court that the National Association of Resident Doctors should suspend its strike? They are saying they are not going to suspend their strike, but there's a court order from the National Industrial Court saying otherwise. What do you make of this, and where do you think it's going to lead?
I think they're trying to play the kind of game that the federal government understands. When you look at our federal government...
You mean disregarding court orders?
Court orders too. So if they too disregard court orders, so what grounds have you to say associations should not disregard? And I think this is basically because they can no longer trust. They signed a memorandum of understanding with the outgone, the middle past president, Jonathan, in 2014. And up until this moment, this government has not honored all the agreements. And what are the things that these people are actually clamoring for? Good life, not just for themselves, for the whole of the country. Because when you place premium on our health sector, then the people who get working, they will be made to work. The atmosphere will be made enabling enough for them to function. But we don't have that. I was interacting with one of the resident doctors who happens to be a friend. He said, look, some of their counterparts at the federal collect, for instance, if a counterpart in the federal collects about 600,000 and you in the state collect 300, look at the difference. And the federal government is saying that is not our problem. Talk to the states. When the states, most of these states, do not have the financial wherewithal to cater for all these things. ASU, both at the state and the national level, take almost the same. The same thing goes for ASU and some other bodies. Why should theirs be an exception? And of course, we're talking about people who have a coordinated body. You can't rubbish them. And of course, because of the nature of the service or services that they render, you cannot but negotiate with them. This court injunction cannot work. And it will not work. They have said they have not been saved. That since they have not been saved, the strike continues. And that they can't trust the government.
But if they eventually get served, do you think they will return to work? From your conversation, I don't think you think so, but I just want to be clear.
I am telling you, they have said clearly that we can no longer trust this government. That they signed an MOU with the NMA, the parent body, does not matter to them. Because a lot had been signed in the past. So even they pay us first.
You don't think they will go
until they are paid?
Let's check out another story before we get to the phone lines. No going back on ban on open grazing. That's according to Governor Rotimi Akeredolu. A lot has been said about this open grazing thing, and the presidency seemed to be committed in its intent to revive that gazette talking about grazing routes, and there are recent conversations, as recent as last week, where the presidency is still saying that this grazing route, we are bringing it back. But Akeredolu is still saying it's not going to happen. This open grazing ban has come to stay. Autumn has also, a number of governors have come out to talk about it. But then I still travel. And sometimes along the express, you still find cattle being grazed by the roadside. And of course, that's open grazing. The law has been passed in Ogun State. I still saw that sometimes last week when I traveled in some parts of Ogun State. So the governors are spitting fire, but then implementation is hardly being seen on the ground.
Well, I think maybe from what I read, I think there is a time frame for implementation. I think they want to start by September. Yes, the laws have been passed in all the states, but I think they're waiting till December before the law actually takes effect. But until then, let's see what happens. Because I still don't believe the states have the powers to implement, because the power of execution or implementation of most of these laws are actually vested in that actually has the force, the police force, the military. It is the federal government that controls everything. So in the area of implementation, I see a big problem. Yes, a lot of states have said that. Let's wait till December and see what happens. Because we have had cases of a lot of these X-men who were apprehended in the past. They went to the police station and nothing was done. They were left off the hook. So the way I see it is that everybody is tired, and the government, the federal government, should just listen to the voice of reasoning and listen to the people. You remember at a function in Lagos, Tambua came all the way from Sokoto and was saying, let Buhari listen to the wishes of the people regarding this so-called grazing routes. That any state that wants to do it, let them do it. But if any state says no, please honor their wishes. Let it be noted that every parcel of land within the domain of a state resides within the powers of allocation, and everything resides within the governor of that state. So I do not see how the president would be successful in his prosecution of these grazing routes. But essentially, there will be problems in the area of implementation because the federal government has the force.
Let's check out this story too. Gowon predicts economic turnaround before December. I'll take just 2 paragraphs. So they're about former military head of state, General Yakubu Gowon, retired on Monday, said that before the end of 2021, there will be national. The people of Nigeria would witness a pragmatic turnaround of the economy and an end to foreign borrowing by government. Gowon made this remark when he led conveners of Nigeria Praise Mission to seek divine intervention against security threats and socio-economic instability in the country. My question, though, is can we pray our way out of, all these issues that we have, security-related, economic-related? Can we pray our way out of it?
As a matter of fact, when you were reading it out, before getting to the portion that it was during a prayer session, my thinking was, maybe he was acting the role of a prophet or a seer to say, this will happen, let's have faith in God. Except you're talking about faith. The practical realities on ground do not show that will happen in the next 10 years. I was telling somebody, I went to a restaurant yesterday and I was eating. I said, look at this wrap of Eba. This sells for 100 naira, for God's sake. Some 2 years ago, this will go for 20 naira. And everybody keeps telling me, Nigeria will be better. I said, show me signs. You said it 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 years ago, when things were not as bad as this. Have we planned to grow our economy? Is the government putting measures in place to grow this economy? Is the government putting measures in place to ensure the economy, things that will make the economy grow, are put in place? So if somebody believes in faith, well, I'm a Christian too. I believe in God. But I believe God will do what you set out to do when you're ready to help yourself. We have not seen that on ground, and we can't pray our way out.
I guess we now know that your favorite food is eba.
Well, we've been praying for decades, so if prayer is going to get us out, maybe it's a long-term effect.
I tell my people, in the Western world, they don't pray. They don't go to church. They see church as a form of social gathering. In the UK, a friend will say, he will call out to his friend, Bill, are you going to be in church today? If Bill says he's not going to be in church, he will call Jack. Jack, you're going to be in church today. If Jack says he's not going to be in church, he's not going, because those are his people. It's a get-together to them. And yes, they have processes in place. We don't have it. And we go to church to pray every time. Even our pastors are commercial pastors. Most of them have become commercial pastors. So what do we expect, for God's sake? Let us stop talking about faith and put practical steps in place that will grow our economy.
All right. Well, I wanted to tack this story onto the one about NAD, because it's still on the subject of, trust and broken promises. Well, it says here universities have yet to get the 30 billion naira revitalization fund almost 2 weeks after the day the federal government promised that the fund would be disbursed. Recall that Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngigea, had on 2nd August 2021 said the government had paid the money as contained in the Memorandum of Action since January 2021. So, yeah, I just wanted to add this as a sort of sidebar.
That goes to show that you can't trust this government. You cannot.
Even when they say they pay.
When they say this government is broke.
Wow. All right. Well, from page 2 of the Punch newspaper, it says that the 36 states of the Federation have set up a 6-man committee on the Petroleum Industry Act with a mandate to study and draw up amendments to the law. This was disclosed by the chairman of Forum of Commissioners of Finance and Benue State Commissioner for Finance, David Olofu, who disclosed this in an interview, stating that the forum would submit proposed amendments to the Act to the steering committee on the PIA set up by the President, President Muhammadu Buhari. How do you think that this, this committee set up, this panel set up by the 36 states will be successful in maybe tweaking? Because according to them, implementation of the act will take over 12 months, and there are some gray areas that they can sort of look into. Yeah. Do you think that they'll be able to overhaul some of the sections of the act that are contentious, that even till now people are dissatisfied with it as it is in the in the act, in the law that was signed by the president, such as the 3% and 30% exploration fund? Do you think they'll be successful in tweaking those areas?
Let's look at what we have on ground. This government, the federal, has consistently shown that it will force its wishes on the people, whether you like it or not. We just talked about the issue of grazing routes. Everybody, all the states are saying no, and the president is still talking about it. So if you have a president who wants to, as it appears now, force his wish on the people, then I do not see this succeeding. And don't forget this issue of 3% and 30% frontier exploration. It's only about politics. You're saying 30% of the profit will go to states where you have not even found oil. Mm-hmm. We have in Ogun State here, they have not done anything about it. It's been established that we have oil in Ogun State. They are not talking about it. And so this thing has political undertone. And what the governors are saying is that some of this is actually meant for the northerners. So that for how many years would you continue talking about oil exploration where there is none? Especially when the whole world is talking about alternative sources of energy. There was a time when coal was the main thing in the country today, do we still talk about coal? Petrol cars now are gradually phasing out in the West. In the next 30 years, I'm telling you, there will be nobody to buy our oil, our petrol. We will be servicing ourselves. And you're talking about in the next 20 years, 30 years, still working on frontiers where there is none. That goes to show that we do not plan adequately. It's a waste, sheer waste of resources, and I think that is what the governors are saying. But that they may have their way, the possibility is zero.
Let's get to the phone lines very quickly to engage you. We'd like to hear from you. We have touched on quite a number of issues from the newspapers this morning. The Nigerian Tribune and the Punch newspaper are companions this morning. 0704 400 1067 0817 444 1067 0817 555 1067. That doubles as the WhatsApp line as well, so you can also drop your comments there. So let's check out.
We have comments on WhatsApp and Facebook. On WhatsApp, we've got this one from Kende Gabriel, who says, a lot of conspiracy theories and our religious leaders have played a major role on people's belief in the existence of this virus. Also, lack of trust of the government is a contributory factor. We'll take the rest of Kende Gabriel's comment after this telephone call. Please.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Yeah, Johnson Olufatoki is my name. I want to comment on the two issues. First, the position of former head of state, General Gowon, is, I believe he's just praying for this nation, and any well-meaning Nigerians should have positive mind that this will be better. But we get in the house pension, effort is not measured by result. So it is the result, the statistics that we have to put into consideration to be sure of a better Nigeria. What we have on ground, we have a government that believe in nepotism, that believe in sectionalism, that believe that it is not in one Nigeria, and so how do we, when there's no equity, when there's no trustworthiness, when there's no sincerity of purpose, how do we move forward? Then on the issue of the S-men, the ranching and the grazing, we are not in the military era, for God's sake. The president cannot just rule by fiat, saying that the grazing routes will be reenacted. The land matter is in the concurrent list, which is basically for the state. And if the federal government wants to make use of even a plot of land, the federal government will apply for approval, from the state governor. So if that one is happen, how can the president now say the enactment of the grade school will be reintroduced? It is not done. This is Nigeria. It's not Banana Republic.
All right.
God bless Nigeria.
Amen. Thank you very much, Honorable Lufatoki. We appreciate your comments.
Kende Gabriel continues with, in as much as our political class has access to medical facilities abroad, there will still be nonchalant attitude towards our health sector. This current administration is adamant on open grazing, really questions if we're truly equal in this country. Favoring a section of the country to the detriment of others is against the true definition of democracy. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, my dear people in the house.
Good morning.
I am Abeokuta from United States of Haiti.
All right, please
you
go.
See, my dear brothers and sisters in the house, it is failing me to see how our president is working. Many people are saying no to open grazing. The southern governors have taken a step, and yet,
Where we see you, go on.
And yet the president is enforcing this on the masses. Why is Mr. President is having a priority over a state and a state over others? That is not known to me. And you see, these people that is harboring are the one perpetrating evils in the forest, killing, maiming, injuring people. And yet, the body language of this president is a nonchalant one. He's always standing on aloof. I don't know where we are heading to. On the issue of the medical doctors, it is our tradition in Nigeria that if we don't go on strike, government will not tend to listen, and they will be threatening with court actions and counter-court actions. Decisions that have been taken, or memorandum signed inside 2009, 2014, 2015, 2017, and yet to be implemented up to today. And one court to say they should go back. Is the federal government to obey court of that? Practically no. And I am not advising people to go back. Otherwise, they will not have what they are fighting for. They are fighting for the masses. They have, these people have opportunity of flying abroad at any point in time. And that is the reason why they are leaving our health infrastructure to decay. If actually they are attending hospitals in Nigeria, I know they will show more concern on this. Their family and themselves, they travel abroad as well. Look at Mr. President. See how many times he has been to over to treat himself. Are we not having competent doctors in Nigeria? But the facilities are not just there. I think the people we have in government this time around is uncalled for. And security to look at it. Killing every day. There is no day. You do not hear of killing 2, 3, 4 scores, dozens of people. Where are we heading to? And we'll be praying, God bless Nigeria. God will salvage Nigeria. When will God salvage Nigeria? I don't know. Prayer only can do it.
All right, thank you.
In action and effort.
Thank you, MOK, for your contribution. Appreciate it. This one says, it's quite unfortunate that our adults, including the candidates seating for SSC examinations, have developed so much passion for TV reality shows rather than taking their studies more seriously. And this comment here says, all right, let's get to the call before we get to the comment. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Yeah. You see, my own perspective...
You have not told us your name and where you're calling.
My name is Chief Shule from Idiaba, I'm sorry.
Please go on.
Yeah. My own perspective is that, you see, we cannot be blaming President Buhari all alone. Without blaming his cabinet. When he named his cabinet, especially some of the ministers who have performed as governors in this country, we all know how they performed. We know their abilities. We know their deeds. Nigerians did not condemn them in that time. I want to believe that was the time we should have rejected most of these ministers, that we do not want them. The president cannot be everywhere at the same time. The minister of number 2 could be taken pay. Nobody talk. See, we are waiting for another answer in this country. When all of us will rise up to fight for our justice in this country. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Sholaya, for your contribution. 0817-444-1067, 0704-400-1067, 0817-555-1067, doubles as a WhatsApp line and a call line. Good morning.
Hello.
Uche.
Good morning. Yeah, Uche from Abeokuta.
Good morning, Uche.
Thank you. You see, if the president insists on not going back on grazing route, all of us should see where he's coming from, just as the guest in the video there has rightly said. If you look at it, when the security apparatus is being controlled by the same people that are making this law, I mean, look at the police, the military, DSS, custom, immigration, all are being controlled by the same people that are making this law. What do you elected governor? How do you expect it to work? You see, the governor that you go out on the street maybe to enforce the law, it is the police and the military that enforce the law, or the DSS to an extent. All these security apparatus, the governor doesn't have control over them. Even the police even the commissioner of police in a particular state, the governor doesn't have a say to the Commission of Police. So how will that law be effective? I feel as it is now, the governors, they still have a long way to go in implementing this law and to making sure that this law starts. Because the police that will implement this law, they doesn't take command from the state governors. Thank you and have a nice day.
Have a nice day yourself, Uche. Akorede Camille says, Boyega, the body language of Mr. President and party politics is the reason you still see cows openly grazing on farmlands and the street. The simple truth is that those headers see this administration as theirs. PIA is an important law that could be used to do great things for the country, but I urge for caution because I am afraid the implementation process, especially the controversial areas, will be used to retain old problems or create new ones rather than providing solutions. Thank you for your comments. So far left on WhatsApp. Facebook is Splash FM 106.7. I believe there's a story you were going to...
Yes, let's go to Nigerians. PGF replies Jega. The Progressive Governors Forum has faulted claim by Professor Atairu Jega that the two major parties in the country have failed Nigerians. Dr. Kolawode, what is your take on this?
It's like saying the obvious. It's so obvious that they have failed us. We complained of insecurity when Jonathan was there. We thought he was coming to make things easy for us, secure our lives. But what I've seen in return, what I've been able to get in return. So, Jega has stated the obvious that they have failed us. And unfortunately, I do not see a change in 2023. When you look at the pattern, you see a lot of people migrating from PDP to APC. And you begin to wonder, what are some people too, when they feel dissatisfied with certain things in APC, they move to PDP. We should be thinking of an alternative. Let us have candidates who have the pedigree, who have what it takes. We have lawyers. Look at Oshu when they had their election. I was surprised. I'm sorry if this is not right, but I saw a dancing senator who was almost winning. And on that ballot paper, we had about 4 sons. We have medical doctors, people who had good training, who could push the economy of the state. So it shows they will continue to fail us until we decide we should get an alternative on our own.
All right, well, we have to go now. I believe what...
Wait, that's talking about...
So when you address him as...
Ayinla Soyinka, the one we all
Chief.
call Ayinla Igba. So we can say Chief Ayinla Igba. Well, congratulations to you. And thank you very much, everyone, for joining the conversation this morning. I'll see you again next Monday by God's grace on Panorama, but Lola will be here tomorrow. My name is Boyega. Like we promised that the speaker will be here today, but he had to reschedule for one reason or the other. I think we're expecting him tomorrow. I hope he doesn't cancel again. But thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for joining us. As Boyega has said, I'll be back tomorrow with Benga Fayel. My name is Lola Meduteni. Good morning.